Hello everybody and welcome to Front Row Racing on this Sunday evening as we get ready for the ProjectCARS DTM Season 6 Round 5 from Laguna Seca. In a few moments time we'll send the drivers over to the racetrack. We'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Front Row Racing DP and I'll be joined in the commentary box tonight by Front Row Racing JS. So James, how are you this evening? Looking forward to a good old corkscrew?
Well, that'd be nice, especially when it's all going downhill. That'll be very nice indeed.
Oh yes. So as I said, in a few moments we will send the drivers over to the racetrack. Just want to make sure that YouTube is up and running properly. I've been having some problems with it recently, but round 5 of the DTM season, and we know that these cars are great. I think we may just be waiting for a couple of reserve drivers to join us at the racetrack if they're available to attend. But James, the story of the season has got to be Dave the Harp running away with the standings at the moment, isn't he?
Well, he was running away with it until he had a bit of a rough run on the mountain at Bathurst. He seemed to maybe buckle slightly under the pressure, and I think Jason's getting ever closer. So we'll just...
Well, did he buckle, or did he just have too many Fosters and too much feasting at the barbecue?
Well, I think he had just hit too many barriers, and so at one moment he had 3 wheels on his wagon, so he was very lucky to come away with 4th place. Very
licky. Was he very sensitive that day? Was he very romantic, James?
Well, yeah. He's a good friend of mine, but I don't think he's that much of a good friend.
Okay. You heard it there, Dave. Okay, in a few moments we'll go through... actually, I'll go through the current standings, James, while you just finish off making sure anybody that needs invites has got them.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So I'll quickly go through the standings before we head over to the racetrack. So after round 4, the current championship standings are as follows. Dave the Harp leading the way on 122 points, while Jason not too far behind on 101. GBM Oldman, he's got 87 points, while Kulukutu has got 72. Scott McFall is on 69 points, and a reserve driver, although may now be permanent, IL Tell, on 68 points. Dex Zidrum on 54 points, I think that says. Difficult for me to see that. 51, my apologies. GBM Vectra, he's got 43 points, although unfortunately he's not going to be scoring anymore tonight. He's got problems with his wheel. GT Gavin, he's next on 40 points, while Stig V Rob has 36. M1989 Woolhouse has 26. Adam 4600 was unlucky last week, he's got 21 points. Mulrine, he's on 11, but I'm not sure if Mulrine's going to be joining us today. And Dre, he's been a reserve driver before, and he's on 6 points, and he's on the track again today. And then we've got Chicken Guy on 6 points as well, and Ardington on 5. Both of those have had previous reserve drives as well. Now, we have sent a message to FG Racing to see if he's available to drop in as a reserve tonight, and it'd be interesting to see how he gets on if he is able to come and join us. And tonight's event is an interesting one from the Laguna Seca circuit, the Mazda Raceway as it's known, but we're not going to be going around there in Mazdas today. We're going around in Mercedes DTMs. And what we're going to have is a 5-minute warm-up session that's going to create a bit of a random grid for us, and drivers, if they get a lap time in, will be able to start in those positions. And then we're going to have a 5-lap sprint race, and a sprint race round here which will be over fairly quickly, I reckon, because it's not the longest of racetracks, is it, James?
No, it's quite short, tight and twisty. I believe that the sprint race will put me tongue
sprint
back in
roast. I know it's Sunday, but anyway. Well, while James composes himself for a second, so I want to quickly mention that after the sprint race, 5-lap sprint race, the top 3 finishers in that, they're not going to be able to take part in the qualifying session for the feature race. There'll be a 10-minute qualifying session, a 5-minute warm-up, and then a 25-lap feature race here again at Laguna Seca. And both races could be very dramatic, very interesting. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. So, James, have you finished daydreaming about food?
Never. One of the things that the drivers have been notified, actually 2 things, the pit lane exit, it is possible for drivers to rejoin the circuit before turn 1, so the drivers have all been notified. If they cut the pit lane exit and make their way down to turn 1, they will be disqualified. Now, this is either if... Oh, well, I've got to be sometimes. So, yeah, they'll be disqualified if they do not take the full pit lane exit. Yeah. So, they've got to do that. So all drivers have been notified, so there's no excuses there. Plus, another thing, a little bit of a bugbear with me, I saw a lot of resetting to track at Bathurst. Now, we did say sometimes it helped that drivers were getting out of the way by pressing that reset to track. However, with it resetting to track right on the racing line, I have let them all know, if we spot you doing that, or if anybody's got footage of another driver doing that, and it is caught, and I spot it, you will be disqualified. So basically, I've asked all drivers to remove that option button,
yeah,
so that
the temptation's not there then, is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I tend to agree with you with the reset to track. I can understand that sometimes you get yourself in a tricky situation and a reset to track would be helpful, but yeah, I mean, you reset to track and it pops you back on the racing line in front of somebody else and they hit you and they've got damage, it affects their race, and yeah, it's not great. I mean, one of the things about a car that's stationary in a barrier is that anyone approaching knows exactly what that car's going to do. It's going to stay there, hopefully, until you go past. Whereas a reset to track, the car disappears, and yeah, in the pit lane, yeah, I mean, I've been a bugger for pit lanes. I always want people to enter them and exit them properly. But it's one of those things, especially here, if you're like hammering down towards turn 1 on the racetrack and somebody comes out of the pits and just jumps onto the track in front of you, they're going a hell of a lot slower and it could cause a lot of carnage. Just having a quick look here, GBM Oldman's looking pretty handy out here today.
He is indeed. Whacking in that lap time. Dave's currently on a 1:20.1, and I have seen his lap times this week. He's been in the mid 1:18, so that's a fairly slow lap, and I don't think he will get another one in. He may be able to just sneak one in, but it'll be very unlikely, I think, as Dave's gone for a green and black livery this weekend.
Yeah, well, we'll mention as well that obviously this is effectively a warm-up session. It's just hosted in a qualifying session, so if drivers are able to get a lap time in, then great, all bonus to them, and if they're not, unfortunately, they won't start up near the front. But it's set in a qualifying session so that the broadcast team can be at the back of the grid. It's the only way we've been able to really do it instead of us having to retire. So yeah, it makes things interesting for the sprint race anyway. I mean, at a track like this, drivers may be able to get a lap or two in as GBM Oldman improves on his lap time and Dex testing out the pit entry by the looks of it. Yeah, so a track like this, they'll get a couple of laps in, won't they, James? Obviously at Bathurst, that was a whole different ball game. But even though the guys weren't able to put a lap in, by hosting it in the qualifying session and them getting out there on track, it did mean that me and you were at the back of the grid and would be in nobody's way for the start of the race.
RDJ has just messaged me saying, is there any free slots now? Unfortunately, there's not enough time for the sprint race. However, for the feature race, I think there will be. So RDJ, keep on standby. There may be an invite coming your way in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes time.
I don't think the sprint race will take that long, James. I reckon it'll be over in 4 minutes. So Dave the Harp actually did manage to pop in a decent lap time there. And Jason, he's right on the money as well. Dex, I don't know. I'm becoming a little bit of a fan of Dex, you know. We'll see how he gets on today. So 12 drivers on the grid for the sprint race, and the sprint race is about to get underway straight away. And James, I know you've come up with some corner names for around the Laguna Seca circuit. We'll have to get those to those in a little while, because this race is going to start and finish before we can even blink our eyes. So as the lights come on, we'll get to the front of the grid as quickly as we can, and let's see how they're getting on. Oh, it's very busy in the middle of the pack there. 4-5 wide, that's not going to work.
I think that's Stig v Rob, and there's a fair few cars all slap bang wallop down at the back.
Yeah, I tell you what, it looks like they've all got the entry into turn 1 sorted out. A couple of cars going wide as I get a bit of a dodgy camera angle there. Apologies for that, but yeah, 2 cars at the back of the grid. Lost out a little bit. I think Adam 4600 may be one of them, but Dave the Harp, he's managed to get out into the lead. Dex second, Scott McFall into third, and Jason in fourth.
Oldman's just taking fourth off him though, as he's just run wide into the gravel.
So yeah, Oldman looking to make moves straight away then, up to 4th place. Jason, he's down to 5th and may come under pressure from the cars right behind him as well. No, he's got a little bit of a breather for a moment as they all make their way up towards the fantastic corkscrew corner. Not really an overtaking place though, is it, James?
No, definitely not. It's, well, if there's going to be an overtake going on there, it's going to take 2 to tango, definitely.
Oh, GT Gavin too. Either he's run a little bit wide. No, it's the car behind it. Stig v Rob and Dre. Bit of contact between them and off they go towards the gravel. That drops Dre down to 11th for Nightwalker. Not that far behind them, but he's in 12th.
Jason's lost control. He's going to the wall before the final corner.
Oh dear, oh dear. Was it on the right hand? Yeah, the fast right hand king.
Yeah.
Oh, Eltel.
GT Gavin.
I think that's who Eltel's fighting with. It is. So Eltel and Gavin, 2 very British names. Tel. All right, Tel. And Gavin down into turn 1 side by side. Oh, GT Gavin almost cut him off, but managed to get around the corner quite nicely and makes the move up into 5th place.
Dex now up into P2 with Scott trying to hunt him down.
GT Gavin and Eltel, they had a little coming together as soon as I went off board with them, and they both ended up in the gravel. And I think they've both just lost the place.
Yeah, so that means that now Oldman's in 4th and Kulukutu is hunting Gavin and Eltel down now. The
worrying thing for me here is that Dave the Harp is opening up himself a nice gap at the front. Dex, though, looking good in 2nd place, and that's all I'm going to say about him because I don't want to curse him. Scott McFall, 3rd place.
Oh,
he's off, he's off! He braked.
Yeah.
It looked like he hit the brakes, was on the curb a little bit. Oh, that's going to be tricky for the cars behind. Yep, it's going to get frantic.
Oh no! It looks like Kulukutu's just rammed into the back of Eltel, and that spun Eltel round.
I think there's a bit of a tricky situation there. I think with who was it? GC Gavin, I think it was. Yeah, the driver that got onto the curb, and it just simply took him off to the right side of the track. As he came back on, I think it created a concertina effect behind him, and that's perhaps what caught out Kulukutu and Eltel there.
Yeah, indeed. So Eltel now down to 9th place, but he's got a lot of pace. It's just a shame he's down in 9th now.
Up at the front, I mean, Dave the Harp, he's romping away with this at the moment, and it's not going to be good for the rest of the field, unfortunately. The only good point to it is that it will end up starting the next race at the back. Okay, so battle for 2nd is definitely on. Scott McFall in 4th. It was Scott, that got onto the curb when he was braking and caused the concertina effect behind him. So yeah, he's now under pressure from GT Gavin 2. Kulukutu running a little bit wide though, managed to recover the car just in time.
Yeah, Stig v Rob now under pressure from Eltel. Eltel has definitely got a lot of pace as he won the feature race last time out at Bathurst.
Yep, that is very, very true. I must admit, I do like the Laguna Seca circuit as the car ahead of the risk in dipping a wheel onto the gravel here. Is that a car off on the left? It is. Who was that?
Yeah, Kulukutu it was. So now Stig v Rob under pressure into the final corner. He's going to go defensive.
He doesn't. Just looking in the background though, Jason, he's trying to attack Dre into the final corner. Down in 11th place at the moment. He'll be a little frustrated with that, but dipping a wheel on the gravel, he may still get the opportunity to make a move. Yeah, he's got a much better straight line speed at the moment.
Ooh! Eltel and Stig v Rob just slapped into the back of Adam 4600, and Eltel's up the inside and shoving Stig off the road.
So as those two are having a little bit of a party, let's see how Jason's getting on. Interesting view I've got there. Jason did manage to make the move through turn 1. Quite nice for him. Okay, up at the front still Dave and Dex, 1st and 2nd.
Oldman's dropped off a fair chunk now, and Scott could have a possibility of snatching 3rd here.
Oh, I think Kulukutu just had a big moment wide then. Let's see, is Scott catching Oldman in 3rd place then?
I don't know, but I do know that Kulukutu may have 8th place here because Stig v Rob's just got in the kitty litter.
I think Kuluku. Oh! That's not the way you want to go. That's not the fastest way through that corner. Yeah.
And there you go.
It's called.
There's a car up in front. It's GT Gavin. Adam 4600 is now all over the back of him, coming on to the final lap.
So, lap 5 has begun, or will be about to begin for a few of these drivers. Adam 4600, one of the few drivers at the moment whose car looks undamaged, in 6th place, but he's got Kulukutu behind him, who's actually looking the quicker of the two down the straight.
Yeah, down into the first corner, and he's going for the move.
And that's going to take them both wide, take them both slow, but Kulukutu, he did have a look up the inside, and it's possible that Adam just sort of had a little bit of a turn in on him there, perhaps didn't see him or didn't think that he should have been there, but either way, that's Kulukutu upper place. But let's have a look at Dave the Harp. Yeah, he's still comfortably leading this race, you boring old man, you. Dex Zidrum in 2nd place. I'm very pleased for Dex to be in 2nd place at the moment. GBM Oldman in 3rd. He's opened up a gap now to Scott in 4th.
Scott's just absolutely gone over the sausage curb at the left-hander just before the corkscrew, so he's I think he may be settling for 4th now, is Scott.
Well, Dave the Harp, he is heading towards the final corner right now, so it looks like it's going to be another win for Dave the Harp in the Front Row Racing DTM sprint race. So well done to Dave, recovers from Bathurst to take victory in Dex. I said I was becoming a bit of a fan of his, and I really am, so I'm absolutely delighted to see him take 2nd place, and GBM Oldman in 3rd, but I've got a feeling there may still be a bit of a battle further down.
Yeah, it's
Scott
Jason having a little look up the inside in the final corner for 9th place, but I think Stig V Rob's just going to hold on to that.
It does look like Stig V Rob is going to hold on to 9th place with Jason in 10th. Dre not too far behind in 11th place. And Nightwalker, he's not too far behind either, just come around the final corner. Unfortunate 12th place for him, but it will still be points in the bag, I believe. But yeah.
No, it's just down to 10th place in the sprint race.
You're so cruel. You're so cruel. You're so cruel.
They will get points all the way to all the finishers for the feature race.
Yeah, so the feature race will be coming up in a few moments' time, but I mean the sprint races are exactly what they say on the tin. It is a proper sprint race. It is over and done with before you know it, and a fantastic little race there. I mean, interesting things to take from that is Dave the Harp definitely looking quick. I mean, over the course of 5 laps, he opened up a 6.8 second lead up at the front.
But one thing for Dave there, he didn't have to battle anybody. He just ran away into turn 1, and the pace of the car was just there, so he didn't have anybody to overtake, but he's definitely going to have people to overtake in the feature race.
Yeah, exactly, because in the feature race, obviously, it is the top 3 from the sprint race. They'll be in the lobby, but they won't be able to qualify, which means they will start from the back of the grid. So that's one of the downsides to getting lap times in the warm-up session before the sprint race. There's more of a chance of you winning and starting at the back. So James will be just setting up a new lobby now to get the tyre wear and everything sorted out. So in a moment I'll jump into the lobby with him, and he can then invite all the drivers in, and then there'll be a moment where he goes, we're missing somebody, and then I'll have to have a look and I'll go, yeah, it's him. But yeah, an interesting little race, and the interesting thing about it as well is that for the feature race, obviously pit stops are going to come in as a factor.
Yeah, with more aggressive tyre wear going to ×4, it will force drivers into pit stops, and maybe the car which was the quickest, which was Dave, may not be the quickest overall with the tyre wear. If you've got a nice setup on your car and you're going to do one less pit stop, you've probably may have a nice chance of winning. Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, this Laguna Seca circuit, it is quite punishing on the tyres. Turn 1, it's a slow speed corner, but it does hurt that right front. Turn 3, as it would be called, let me just check my track map if it is turn 3. Yeah, turn 3. Actually, turn 1 is a kink off at the straight, so turn 2 is the Andretti hairpin, which is what we would call turn 1. The next right-hander, that hurts the front left tyre. The next right-hander kills the left front tyre, because it's quite a high-speed corner. The turn 5, the right-hander up the hill, again, it's punishing the outside tyre, and the same with turn 6. Every corner around this track punishes the tyres in one way or another, and if you go too aggressive, yeah, it's really going to hurt. I mean, I'm just having a little bit of a problem here creating a new multiplayer session. It's been a bit slow, but would you, on your way down into turn 1, would you try and, in order to try and save the tyres from scrubbing, would you try and turn that double left apex turn into one hairpin?
I always have tried to treat I call it turn 1. I've always tried to treat it as one corner rather than sort of like a double apex corner. You can pick up quite a nice line through that corner that allows you to get on the power very early and just totally open up the corner.
Yeah. It catapults you then through the next corner, which is what I was sort of thinking. I think if I was racing, I'd definitely try and make turn 1 into a little bit of a hairpin, going a bit deeper than everybody else, but then pivot the car and accelerate as fast as possible while other people are still scrubbing the tyres all the way through that double apex.
Yeah, and similar goes for quite a few of the corners around here. Turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. Getting that turn-in point at just the right speed will allow you to really push the car through the corner. Get it slightly wrong, you off into the gravel. If you touch the gravel a tiny bit, you're going way off.
Right, an invite has just been sent.
Okay, so I'll make my way over to the new lobby. So I'll just remind James as well to send RDJ an invite for the feature race. Let's see if this is actually going to bring me in. Yes, it has brought me into the lobby. Good to see. Okay. So it's going to take a few moments for James to get all of the drivers in. But yeah, as I was talking about, I mean, the Laguna Seca circuit, it is a very interesting one, because many people either think it's really difficult or they think it's really easy and it's only got one tough corner, and that's the corkscrew. Don't get me wrong, the corkscrew is an important corner to get right at this track, but actually that's not where you lose or gain the most time. I mean, okay, if you go off there you're going to lose loads, but you can gain much more time from having your car set up for the corner after the corkscrew, that downhill left-hander. Yeah. If your car can't handle that corner, it don't matter what you're doing in the corkscrew.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got understeer through the high-speed corners down that hill, yeah, you're just throwing time away. You've got to make sure the front end turns in exactly how you want it to do, not only when you've got good grip, but also when you've got really worn tyres.
Yes, definitely. Okay, it won't be long until we're able to send the drivers over to the racetrack, and if you do start hearing some Chewbacca-style noises, then I apologise. That'll be my stomach. I've not had a chance to get much to eat today, and that's exactly what I'll be doing once this broadcast is over. So I'm going to be testing some of the American delicacies out this way. But I'm just thinking, James, obviously this is round 5, and obviously we've got the feature race to go. We've also got round 6, 7 and 8, and unfortunately, off the top of my head, I can't remember where round 6 is going to be at. So I'm just wondering if you know off the top of your head.
Not quite off the top of my head.
But you were meant to save me then.
We're both going down. Yeah, I will find out for the viewers at the end of the broadcast.
Yeah, I did see that someone on YouTube has asked, are we going to be at Watkins Glen Short for the feature race? No, we're not. We're going to be at Laguna Seca. Basically, the way it works is the sprint race is kind of like not a practice session, but it's a bit like a shakedown session where you get to score points, and you can test your setup and see if you need to change anything for the feature race. And we did race at Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago, I believe, the full circuit, and that was one hell of a race there. But having said that, I mean, Bathurst last week was just absolutely bonkers. I mean, we had, I think 4 different leaders, and 3 of them crashed. So
yeah, it really did prove, though, around there that it really matter how fast you were going. It really mattered that you had the car hooked up so that it did exactly what you wanted it to do in the corners. It really didn't matter about lap time. You could have gone round there and won that race going about 2 seconds a lap slower than the fastest people. It really didn't matter, because if you kept it out of the wall, you were odds on going to be on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, IL Tell, I mean, I think he kind of surprised himself actually getting the win, and I think he knows that he looked into it a little bit, But at the same time, is it luck that you're consistent and you keep it out of the barriers? No, it's good driving.
Definitely good driving. I'm sure there was a race a few seasons ago when we had the LMP2 cars, and I was winning that race, and unfortunately binned it at the top of the hill and came away with second. So even though technically I was the fastest guy on the day, didn't mean I was the best driver.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Okay, how are we...
you meant to say it. No,
am I meant to
James,
save you? Sorry, I was just thinking, I really am hungry. And I was also thinking, how are we for... Have we got the drivers in the lobby yet? Are we missing anybody?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for... It's just really, really strange. I
said this would happen.
I've invited... RDJ. I've accepted his friend request, however he's not popping up, so I'm going to have to manually just send him an invite.
Okay. Is it just RDJ that we're waiting on at the moment then?
Yeah, I believe it is, yeah.
Okay. So, 25 laps I believe we're going to be having around the Laguna Seca circuit. I mean, from times for tyre wear at previous races, we've been looking at sort of 2 stops are comfortable, 1 stops are doable, but are risky. I mean, what are you thinking, James, around here? A 1 stop on the harder compound tyre?
I'd say, yeah, go for the harder compound, the least amount of stops as possible. However, if you're running out of grip at the end, it may be a bit of a tyre killer, especially with them high-speed corners. So if you do what we said and look after them tyres, I think it'll be a 1 stop.
Yeah. Do you think any of these guys are going to look after their tyres? I don't. No. I mean,
yeah.
is it on...
but even though, I mean, I think a lot of people will think, well, it's only a game, it won't really matter if you look after the tyres. It really does. It really does, massively. You look after your tyres,
they'll look after
forget about setup. If you've got good tyres, you're in pound seat. So RDJ has just been sent an invite. As soon as he's in here, we'll get going. There he is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, so as we make our way over to the circuit then, and we'll find out what's going to happen as the drivers prepare themselves for a 10-minute qualifying session, and then that'll be followed by a 5-minute warm-up. And I think for the drivers, I mean, we've asked a few of the drivers over last season and this season about the top 3 in the sprint race not being able to qualify and what they've thought about it, and quite a few of them have actually liked it, sort of having that, not punishment, but having that, okay, you've won the race, now go and prove yourself. Let's make it interesting for you. Quite a few of them have enjoyed it, and the likes of Jason, I mean, that'll stand out for me for quite some time. Jason at Road America. I mean, that was stunning. We've just to let you know, James, we have lost somebody from the lobby, and it looks like it was RDJ. So you may want to send him another invite.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So, the qualifying session then. 10 minutes, GT Gavin, wasting no time getting out there. Let's see, has anybody else headed out to the circuit yet? No. Kulakutu, he's on his way. He's in a nice white and green car today. I wonder what colour car Jason is in today. Let's see. I can't find him. Oh no, where's Jason? There he is. I just seen him. There we go. Oh, surprise, surprise. He's in his Swedish Banana Man car. But yeah, I think he'll stick with that livery until he can't choose it anymore. But let's see. Who was the first out on track? It was GT Gavin 2. So let's see how he's going to get on. I mean, he had an interesting sprint race. It was very frantic for him. But I'm just wondering, James, he's heading up to the corkscrew now. I mean, what are the difficulties with the corkscrew, apart from the fact that it's a 50-foot high hill?
I think the main thing is the slower you go in, the faster you'll go through the corner. If you go into that corner all locked up, sliding wide, forget it, because the next 3 corners require you to go slow into the hairpin. If you go in there and make sure you absolutely nail the first apex, you're you're in a really decent position to then absolutely open up the next 3 corners. If you go in there all locked up, you're going to then have to scrub the tyres even more to get the car in the correct position to open up the corners. So it's all about, well, on qualifying lap, yeah, you want to try and push it, but on the race stint, definitely brake a bit early there.
Yeah, and riding on board with GT Gavin, I'm actually on the camera on the front of his car as he runs a little bit wide, and he did give a good example of sort of the double apex of that turn 1, as we're calling it. And he's not quite getting into the groove of the track, where quite a few of these corners are cambered quite nicely, and if you get it into that groove, it'll take you around the corner. You get out of it and you're risking the edge of the racetrack a little bit. But let's have a look what the corkscrew is going to be like for him over the crest of the hill on the brakes. Get it slowed down, don't go deep, be patient, get it into the second apex, hard on the power. And this is such an important corner, I feel, at times, because you want to be flat out through there, because otherwise that's going to happen. And unfortunately it takes out brake marker board as well. But I mean, this is a racetrack that is all about flow and lines, apart from probably this final corner where it's all about braking and acceleration.
And as well, with that final corner, even though if you run the car over the sand, it'll slow you down. To be fair, if you want to run over that hairpin, that'll probably be helping you out, especially in the final corner, because you want to try and slow yourself down. So if you try and run with the right tyres right on the apex, that might actually help you turn the car in. But that is one little trick, but not one that the drivers should always take.
Yeah, well, Jason, he's just coming around the final corner now. I'm going to ride on board with his bonnet view and see if he goes on for another flying lap. Takes provisional pole position with a 1:19.9. I want to see how Jason's going to know he's backed out of it. I can't get to see what he's going to do with turn 1, unfortunately. Let's see, someone was heading down that way. Well, let's see.
Adam 4600 was on his way down there. I think he's going for another lap. But he's, as we were saying, he's sort of going for the double apex, try and hit both apexes, and as we say, it's going to completely scrub them tyres, and in a qualifying situation that might not be too bad. But I think in a race stint,
runs a little bit wide. Yeah, I mean, what I find with turn 1, sorry to cut you off a little bit there, is what I find with turn 1, if you go for that sort of hitting the first apex, it tightens up the second part of it. Where if you just completely ignore that first apex and take a wider entry in, that's where it looks after the tyres and gives you a much better line through the corner. Stig v Rob pops himself into 5th place.
So Adam's slightly up on his lap time, and he's got Nightwalk in front of him. Oh, he's completely screwed up the corkscrew, and that's it. Lap over.
Who's that, sorry?
That was that was Adam 4600.
Okay, just seen that ILTEL had a little bit of an off as well. As RDJ is, I believe he is on a flying lap at the moment. But I would really like to see somebody take the turn 1 the way that I know that I would, and perhaps you would, James, just so the viewers know that we're not talking out of our rear ends on a Sunday afternoon.
Jason's just coming to start a flying lap now, so we'll see what he does on his way down towards turn 1. He's just going over the line now.
Okay, and he is in 2nd place at the moment. He's been picked from pole position, taking a wider entry. Is he? No. Well, he is. He's taken a later entry. But that could be quicker than taking that tighter first apex.
Yeah, it could be. I don't
know if it was on that occasion.
I think he maybe ran a little bit deep on the second part where you would want to try and pivot the car and accelerate hard.
Yeah.
He seemed to run a little bit wide there, so that may have helped him, but not quite as much as if I were driving. He's
definitely much more in the groove. I'm not even going to comment on that. He's definitely much more in the groove of the racetrack than we saw GT Gavin. On his
very
lap.
Nice apex through turn 6, absolutely nailed the apex there. So as we say, brake slightly early, get the front tyre over that first apex to open up the second, now get the cars far over to the right, which is what he's doing to open up this left-hander down the hill, which is heading towards turn 10. He's run a little bit on the dirt.
Oh, he's got a little wide. Oh, he's alright. But what was beautiful there, the fast left-hander, he did a lift nice and early to get the car turned in and powered all the way around the corner, whereas we saw GT Gavin sort of turn in, lift off and have to readjust and still couldn't make it. Pole position. Nice one, Jason.
So that's a 19.2, so that's very nice indeed. To say that Dave the Harp has put a fair chunk of practice in this week, and he's down into the 118s, 1 mid-18s. To be only 6/10 off his title rival, in Formula 1 terms, that's night and day. But in these DTMs, that's not too bad.
No. Let's see, Adam 4600, he's sitting in third place at the moment. I tell you, it's looking a little bit grey out there at the moment, up at the top of the hill. Adam 4600 approaching the corkscrew. I'm not sure if he's on a timed lap at the moment. I think he might be. With what, just under 3 minutes of this qualifying session left. It's time for the drivers to really get out there, and one of them, unfortunately, is getting way out there on the sandy gravel here at Laguna Seca. So, Adam 4600, what have you got? Are you going to be able to go and pop yourself on the front row of the grid? Let's see how he finishes this lap and maybe starts another one.
He's down in Sector 3, so I'm not sure if this is an outlap.
He's been dropped down to 4th place. Is he continuing on? Yes, he is. Let's see how Adam 4600 taking, almost looking like he was going to take a tight entry. So hits the first apex, lifts off, and having to lift off again around the second apex.
Yeah. That's not the quickest way around there, I don't think.
Oh, we're running a little bit wide now, getting a little bit twitchy. I mean, it could be possible that if the clouds have come over as well, and wide again he goes. I was going to say, if the clouds have come over a little bit, it's El Tel that's stolen his third place at the moment. Yes, clouds have come in, temperatures may have dropped a little.
He's only 1/10 behind ILTEL, who's on a 19.8. Adam's on a 19.9. If he can just pull out a couple of tenths and keep himself out of the gravel, he may be able to snatch back third.
Pull out a couple of tents? Do you go camping with tents in your pockets that you could just pull out? Oh, do you need a tent?
Would be nice,
here you go. Do you need a tent? Here you go.
I thought you said, is it temp? Meaning temp here,
No.
but Adam, it looks like he may have absolutely ruined the end of his lap now.
It looks like he may have abandoned it if it's that's the car that I saw in the background. El Tel's continued on. Has he improved on his lap time? No, yes he has, a 19.4.
So that is very good indeed, and Jason's down to a 19.2 now.
Yeah, Scott McFall's on his way out of the pits, but he's not going to have the time to complete a lap. Neither is GT Gavin, who's currently sitting in 5th. Night Walker, he's recently crossed the line, he's sitting in 9th place. RDJ heading up to the start finish now, currently a 128.2, so 127.9, tricky session for him. And let's see, Oldman, Dave the Harp and Dex, obviously, as we said earlier, not allowed to qualify for the feature race here.
I think Gavin may just be able to get a lap in. He's got 30 seconds and he's got about 3 corners to go now.
Oh, I don't know. He nearly, he might do.
20 seconds to go. Can he get round the final corner?
Just picture that countdown clock ticking away into the last 10 seconds.
Rachel
He might do
nice,
it. Is he going to steal he might even steal a position here. No, unfortunately he doesn't.
No.
He managed to finish the lap, but unfortunately was not quicker. But our pole sitter...
Oh, yeah. He's the title rival of
Dave the Harp. Yeah, is the Swedish banana man. It's Jason. And you know the funny thing about it, James? You know Banana Man, he flies.
Yeah.
So does Jason.
Well, he might be flying if he throws some banana skins onto the race circuit for all the other cars.
Well, I am telling the truth though. Jason, he does fly. He's a pilot.
Yeah, well, I think that's why he goes for that livery. You did say Superman, but we all agree it's Banana Man.
Banana Man, yeah. What I found hilarious, though, I don't know if you saw it, James. He did actually. I commented with a picture of Banana Man and said, "Hey, this is what we're on about. This is Banana Man." And did you see the reply where he says, "Oh, it looks like the Swedish version," and I'm like, "Looks nothing like him. That Swedish version looks like Banana Man on steroids, who's had too many beers on a Friday night. He looked proper mental."
I thought you were going to say that the Swedish mascot was Banana Man. World Cup or something like that.
If he was the mascot in the Swedish team of the World Cup, they'd probably win it because nobody had. Could you imagine they usually do like a mascot's race, don't they? Imagine being at the start line for that, and everyone.
That'd be amazing.
You got, I don't know. You got a lion looks around and sees the Swedish Banana Man. He's like, no, I'm not going near him.
Well, so this is a good little battle to see with this 5-minute warm-up. We've got the two title rivals very close, Jason and Dave the Harp. Looks like they're going to be trying to play mind games.
Yeah, that's Dave the Harp right behind Jason there, isn't it? And Jason knows it as well. If I was Jason, I'd be tempted to pull over and slow down a little bit and see if Dave pulls over and slows down as well.
I mean, this could be the battle on the final lap we're seeing here ahead of time.
It could well be. Now, Dave the Harp is someone that I possibly would expect to see take the one apex of Turn 1. I mean, I know he's driven a lot around this circuit, and I don't just mean, oh, Jason dips a wheel off into the gravel. Is that a little telltale sign? Or was that a little bit of sneaky, here you go, Dave, you go past and let me see where you're quicker. But yeah, I know Dave's got a lot of experience around this track, because, I mean, I've raced against Dave the Harp around here God knows how many times on I don't know about Gran Turismo, but I know I've raced around here a lot against him on Project Cars in the past.
Yeah, it's a lovely circuit once you get in the groove. If you don't seem to be able to get in the groove, it's a horrible circuit because so many gravel traps, and that's what I like. I like a lot of the gravel traps. None of this tarmac run off. Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a track where if you dip a wheel on the sand and off you, it is so annoyingly frustrating. But it's one of those that, because it's so frustrating, when you get it right, it's so rewarding. Yeah.
Me and you were on the same level tonight, man.
Oh, yeah. It's because you started off telling me that you was getting a hug. But, I mean, it's right, though. I mean, you look at a lot of modern circuits. I mean, okay, take Mexico Grand Prix circuit, for example. If they put grass around the twisty sections of the Mexico Grand Prix circuit, all of a sudden it's a whole different ballgame.
The twisty section before the stadium section is an absolute joke in my terms. If Charlie Whiting's listening, just put absolutely tons of grass there or gravel. I know that they don't like it because they're going to flip the cars, but I'm sorry, but I am fed up of watching Formula 1 cars come through, miss an apex and still just go just as quick, even if they make a mistake or not.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I like what Brundle says, and I don't know if you get to see it on Sky, but Brundle, I mean, he sees it as the racetrack is the racetrack, and if you're not on the racetrack, you should be getting a penalty. It doesn't matter if you're faster or not, you're not on the racetrack. Which, I mean, I can kind of agree with that. It's one of those things where if you were playing football and you have a shot at goal and it hits the post, and the referee gives a goal, and it says, well, he hit the goal. Well, it didn't go in. Oh, no, but it's all right because it hit the goal. But no, it didn't go in. So it's kind of like, it's only a goal if the ball's in the net. You're only racing if you're on the track. But anyway.
Indeed.
And interestingly, Jason did follow Dave the Harp for a couple of laps there, and he was applying a little bit of pressure, you know. Or not pressure, but I think he's on the pace of him. Although saying that, Dave the Harp did do a 1:19.9.
And also, I think Oldman's got something to prove this time out, as he was leading the race and 3 laps to go and binned it at Bathurst. So he's a race winner, and I think he knows that if he wants to fight for this title, he needs to start winning.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a fantastic position with Dave the Harp making a mistake. I mean, we didn't see the Dave the Harp's crash on the live stream, but basically into the twisty section where we saw GT Gavin having problems, into the S's, going through the first right-hander, his car just understeered, went right into the tyre barrier. Next thing you know, it's bouncing a front wheel up above his bonnet, and yeah, you can imagine a few choice words. But Oldman was then leading the race, and yeah, he went and binned it himself. But anyway, we're about to start the feature race here, 25 laps, Laguna Seca in the Front Row Racing Season 6 DTM ProjectCARS. 5 lights, and away they go, heading now down towards Turn 1. Oh, it looks like somebody had a bad start at the back of the grid there.
I think RDJ had a bit of a connection issue, and his car seemed to bounce up in the air and crash back down.
Oh, a lot of contact down into Turn 1. It looked like Jason had lost the lead as well, but he's just stolen it back through Turn 1, but they're side by side into Turn 3. A lot of contact further back.
Looks like he may have the inside for the next corner, but Jason is going to try and hold on round the outside.
So we're side by side for first and second, almost side by side for third and fourth as well. So Eltel leads the race ahead of Jason, and then Scott McFall, and then Dave the Harp's already up to about sixth place, you know.
It's with Kulu Kutu now under pressure from Oldman. This could open up an opportunity for Dave the Harp as we head up the hill.
Well, I'm not looking at that at the moment. I'm looking at 5 cars all trying to take on one piece of tarmac at the moment up at the back.
Kulu Kutu's just ran wide and smacked into the side of Dave, but Dave's now up to 6th place.
Okay, keep an eye on that. There was a mad battle at the back.
Six lost it on the corkscrew, completely binned it and spun round.
And he's come back onto the track right in front of this battle. 4 cars going absolutely mental, and he come right on in front of it, and he's left the car hanging out to dry there as they try and go side by side. That's GT Gavin and RDJ 124. It's not worked out for RDJ. Let's have a quick look back up at the front then. Jason managed to get back into the lead, and he's opened up a little bit of a gap. Let's get on board with Dave the Arp. I want to see you take the 1 apex here, Dave. Show us that we know what we're talking about. He does go for the 1 apex. Let's see if it gives him the better exit.
Ooh, Gavin at the back has just absolutely jumped in front of Dex into the first corner, and what a lovely move there. He's up to now P10.
Oh, unfortunately I missed it, but there's still 4 cars going mental near the back there. If these cameras had allowed me to jump on board with it properly.
I think that we're Adam 4600, so Jason's still out in the lead. Scott's in P2, ILTEL in P3, and Oldman's in P4. Dave Hart's back up to P5, but he can see that his title rival's not too far in front now.
So it was Dex Oldman and Dave the Harp that weren't able to qualify. Dex is down in 9th place at the moment. Oh, Dave Harp making a move because Oldman's got a power boost penalty. Made a mistake through the corkscrew, and now that's Kulukutu. Give him a little bit of a nudge to get him back up to speed.
ILTEL looks like he's running a little bit wide into the final corner, but he's managed to hold on to it. I think, if anything, I think Scott is putting Jason under pressure now.
Well, he's got an opportunity here, hasn't he? I mean, Jason has. I mean, Jason can't afford to be caught up in a battle, really. He needs to try and run away if he can. And that leaves Dave the Hart with Scott and Eltel to make moves on. But Dave's catching them fairly quickly. Well, I'm glad to see that Jason is out in front leading this race at the moment. As I thought for a moment Dave the Hart had got a power boost penalty, but I don't think he has. So as the field begins to get a little bit more spread out, and these cameras are really beginning to do my head in. They are absolutely useless on this game. It is really beyond a joke.
Yeah, well, hopefully for ProjectCARS 2 we've heard that it is possible to even move cameras, and the second co-commentator will be able to move the cameras, as Scott is really putting Jason under pressure now. Yeah,
he's really trying to close on him as aggressively as he can. I did notice as well there was a silver car battling another car a little bit further down the order, but with the way the cameers are going, it was difficult to know exactly who it was.
I think that may have been Dre and Stig in P7 and 8.
Okay, so I'm going to keep the camera on the battle up at the front for the moment, James, but yeah, if you want to give me a shout if anything's... Yeah, give me a shout if anything's kicking off. But I mean, I do know. I mean, ProjectCARS 2. I mean, hopefully they'll have learned a lot with this game that they can improve ProjectCARS 2.
Stig's just jumped in front of Dre. Dre went a bit wide into the final corner, but Dre looks like he may try and have a little cheeky look back into turn 1.
Now Dex is behind them as well, and he's no slouch. Oh, Dre's got half an opportunity here as Stig v Rob makes a little bit of a mistake. And this is a circuit that's a bit like Suzuka, isn't it, James? You make a mistake in one corner, it's going to punish you for the next 2.
Yeah, it's all about the flow around here, as we said in qualifying, and you've really got to make sure you nail them apexes as up at the front. I think Jason's just run a touch wide, and Scott is closing in on him.
I think Kulakutu just ran very, very wide as well. But yeah, I mean, Scott is definitely keeping Jason honest at the moment. Eltel, where's Dave the Hart? But no, it was Dave the Hart that ran a little wide. Yeah, well, he's down in 4th. He's lost a lot of time because it was him that I saw running wide. So that is now GBM Oldman right up his gearbox. And Oldman will like that because he got a power boost penalty a little earlier on. So, bit of payback for him.
So for Jason, if he wants to try and take the fight to Dave the Harp in the title battle, he needs to maintain this position, as Dave seems to be faltering now, even though he's probably got
Scott Falters, big crash, heading down in towards turn 1.
Oh, that's not nice, and he's coming on just behind him, Oldman, I believe, in front of Colour 2 in P6.
Now, I wasn't actually looking at the screen to let you know exactly what he did there. Oldman is now pressuring Dave the Harp a little bit more, but that'll give Jason a little bit of a breather, but the downside is it promotes Dave the Harp a position.
Exactly, so even though you psychologically feel, oh well, that's a bit of a weight off my shoulders, then you get the realisation of, oh hang on, more points are going his way, so it's a bit of a head screw this one for Jason, but he needs to just keep focused and not think about anybody else but himself.
Yeah, well, Scott's recovered. He's in 5th place, just ahead of Kulu Kutu, and let's see what the gap's like back to 7th place Stig v Rob.
GT Gavin's just going side by side with RDJ. I think they're running through turn 5 at the moment. Oh! That is not nice. I think GT Gavin tried to close him off, but it was way too close, and they ended up bumping his rear tyre into RDJ's front right tyre. So I think GT Gavin just... his season's going from bad to worse. He's got a brilliant setup, brilliant car, but his racecraft is just letting him down race after race.
Unfortunately for Nightwalker there, he managed to get past, and then I think he got a power boost penalty, as Adam 4600 sitting in 10th place has jumped both RDJ and GT Gavin there, I believe. Okay, let's have
a... looks like he may be trying to reel in Jason now.
That gap does look like it's come down a little bit, doesn't it?
Previous lap time identical between Jason and Iltel, 120.6 for both of them, but Dave Harp in P3, he's just done a 120.1, so he's got half a second in the pocket, so expect him to be on the back of these in a few laps time.
He definitely could be. Jason got his headlights on now, giving him as much visibility as possible, and perhaps trying to put off anybody that he sees ahead of him, although it should be a little time until he catches up to anyone. Eltel running a little bit wide there, and it's risky doing that, but you've got to push the limits of this track to get the most out of it. As Dave the Harp pushes the limits in the background, and he's still got Oldman keeping him honest. See, 5th place Kulakutu all on his own at the moment, and this is a point of how bad the cameras are. Stig v Rob, it shows me one corner, and then 3 corners later, oh yeah, he's down the hill. So yeah, Stig v Rob not that far behind, I don't think. And in the background there's Dre, not doing too bad in 7th place at the moment, and heading to the pits. So only 6 laps for him, so maybe a little bit too hard on his tyres as he gives the pit barrier a little bit of a knock-in.
So Nightwalker just getting out of the way of the race leaders coming through now. And Dave Harp will be seeing him, as he's been very polite, but now he's got his tyres full of gravel as he's run off circuit to let them through.
Yep, now the cameras are giving me a very blurred focus on one particular corner. Oh, Jason running a little bit wide. Eltel has got half a run on him here, but not enough, I don't think. But, I mean, it's kind of new territory for Jason at the moment, leading the race. I mean, I know that he's led at least one race in the front. Oh, in the background, I think the Nightwalker's just had a bit of a spin in front of Dave the Harp. Yeah, I think Jason has led a race in F1 on Front Row Racing, but this is new territory for him.
Yeah, he's just run over the curve and a little bit into the dirt, and Eltel has got a nice run here.
This is definitely Eltel's opportunity.
Yeah, you don't come much better than this as we're running downhill. Which side is he going to go for? Is he going to go straight up the inside?
Well, Jason's giving him the room to play with, but this actually may work in Jason's favour. Oh, clips the curb though. But now he's got the inside line for the next corner, but switchback for Eltel.
Lovely switchback there. That was as nice as you want, not turning in too early, but Jason's not giving up here.
No, you don't want to really be on the outside for that corner in case you run wide, but now he's got the inside line for the next corner, so side by side they go, but this is all going to help Dave the Harp catch up. And now Eltel's running a little bit wide, but manages to get ahead of Jason, or at least I think he has.
Oh, Jason's just cut that corner. I think that might be a power boost. I think Eltel's run a bit wide, and here comes Dave.
I think Jason may have given Eltel a little bit of a nudge there as well, unfortunately.
Ullman's just jumped everybody into P2. I think Davey Hart's got a power boost or something.
So, Dave the Harp, yes he has, he's going massively slow at the moment. So, Dave the Harp, must have cut the corner more than Jason did.
Yeah, indeed. I think it may have been a 10-second penalty there, as now Oldman has just jumped his way up into P2. 2 spots in one go. What a lovely little opportunity there.
Well, I think for Jason, I mean, I mentioned about it was new territory for him, and he actually looked like he was coping with it very, very well. And I do think he did just give Eltel a little bit of a nudge, and that perhaps sent him cutting the corner. I think he might be kicking himself a little bit, but Dave is giving him a gift, because Dave is making mistakes as well, which is allowing Jason to stay ahead of him at the moment.
So Dave's now in the pit lane replacing his... So that's early. The tyres must not be very nice around this circuit. So Dave in the pit lane already. Oh, we've got somebody off in front. I think that was GT Gavin a lap down. Almost took out Ullman, but luckily didn't take out any of the race leaders there. So that was nice.
Yeah, Kulakutu's now up to 4th place, with Dave the Harp having made his pit stop. And see Dave the Harp coming out of the pits now. He's going to come out behind Adam 4600 and may even come out behind Scott McFall. Now, Scott may have already made a pit stop as well, because he was running obviously much higher up the order, but we did see him have a big off earlier on, but I don't think that dropped him down to 8th, so he may have done a pit stop as well.
So Oldman now in P2, he's not able to run away from Jason.
He's off, he's into the gravel. And Jason into the pits. Yeah, we are connected today, aren't we, James?
Oh, Jason gone in a touch deep into the pit lane, took too much speed in and clobbered the apex. But where is Dave the Harp? He pitted a lap ago. I think it's going to be close between Dave the Harp and Jason on pit exit.
I think I can see a few of these temps you were on about earlier, James. There's loads of them in the paddock. Let's see, Jason's still stationary on track at the moment. So where is Dave the Harp? He's coming round the last right-hander, heading towards the final corner now.
Ooh, I think Jason may have a bit of a decent...
Oh, yeah, he's way ahead.
Jump.
He's way ahead.
So if that undercut was going to work, I think it's just been a bit too slow, as Jason's just going round turn 1 now and Dave's just turning up at turn 1 now, so maybe a few seconds behind.
Yeah, and Dave has got Adam 4600 ahead of him, maybe on completely different strategies. Dave having a look up the inside straight away, getting Adam out of position. Adam won't want to run wide, but Dave will now have the inside line, and he doesn't want to go pushing Adam wide either, because he would get a nasty message from him on that one probably. Nice bit of defending, nice bit of switching. And Dave the Harp trying to go all the way around the outside, and I think he's managed to do it, you know.
Yeah, that was a nice move there. So now Oldman out in... ILTEL still leading the race. Oldman in P2.
Adam 4600, big spin. Unfortunately, just behind Dave the Harp and ahead of Scott McFall. Sorry, James, carry on.
So, yeah, the front... drivers still I put my tongue back in. ILTEL and Oldman. Kulukutu's running along in P3.
Eltel spinning, lost the rear end in turn 3. Oh, he's lucky to keep going, but he's about to come under a hell of a lot of pressure, because GBM Oldman is right behind him now.
Yeah, this is not what ILTEL needs, as I...
Actually, no, sorry, it's not GBM Oldman. Oh, no, it is. It's just showing me the wrong car on the camera.
Yeah, it's just... it's been a bit slow today, I think, is this game. As we're heading towards the corkscrew, he knows that his car's not been handling well, and he's run deep at the corkscrew, and this is going to give Oldman a chance, I think.
Is this a sign, do you reckon, that Eltel's tyres have gone?
Well, Kulukutu in P3, he's carried on and he's almost been caught by Jason, and it looks like Kulukutu's tyres have completely gone.
Eltel into the pits, Oldman into the pits, and Kulukutu, is he going to go for the pit lane as well? He might.
He needs to. He needs, because here comes Jason. He's not too far behind him now.
Well, the car right behind him, I think, is Nightwalker, isn't it? But yeah, Jason in the background there. So Kulukutu's being harassed by Nightwalker, who I think might be a lap down, but yeah, time for Kulukutu to get into the pits, and time for Jason to find out whether his undercut is going to have worked for him.
Yeah, so ILTEL still in the pit lane, just getting going now. Jason coming around the final corner. This is going to be close, I think. I think Jason may be able to jump the both of them here. He's just going to be passing them at pit exit, and we know turn 1 is going to be shorter for them. I think Jason may regain the lead here.
He may have done. He's got to go the long way round, but I think you're right. I think he is going to have retaken the lead here. Yeah. Yes, he has. So, but I've got a feeling he may have another pit stop to do with him pitting as early as he did.
Yeah, so Oldman wanting to strike straight away. He's trying to get them tyres up to temperature straight out of the box and jump on ILTEL, but I think ILTEL's going to be trying to forget all about him and just focus on Jason in front.
Well, Oldman, he's got a good run on
ILTEL.
On ILTEL, yeah. I mean, here's a thought for you, Jay. I mean, is dirty air very effective in these cars around a track like this, do you reckon?
Yeah, a little bit, but nowhere near as much as in F1. So there's definitely potential to get very, very close through high-speed corners.
Yep. Well, I think for Jason, I mean, he managed that pit strategy beautifully.
ILTEL ran a touch wide there in the penultimate corner, and Oldman just wasn't close enough there to capitalise.
Well, Dave the Harp still not that far away, and Scott McFall still got Dave the Harp within an error's reach, so to speak. Well, I'll tell you what, though, we've got Kaluk Kutu, Stig V Rob, and Adam 4600 as close to each other as the leaders are to each other. So an interesting little exchange of words going on here, I reckon. Dre and GT Gavin and... Is that Dex? Yeah, Dex down 11th. They're as close to each other as the leaders are to each other as well. So quite a few battles going on at the moment, and we're not going to be able to show them all, unfortunately.
GT Gavin looks like he's got a run on Dre coming towards the penultimate corner.
He has got a run on Dre. Oh, perhaps trying to get him a little out of shape, and Dre goes into the pits.
So as we said, that all the finishers in this race will get points. It's only the sprint race where drivers get points to 10th place, as Alderman is now harassing the back of ILTEL.
And while that's happening, it's allowing Jason to just pull away at the front. He's opening up a nice little gap at the moment, and that's exactly what he needs to do.
But I think ILTEL knows in his heart of hearts he's got the pace to put Jason under pressure. So he needs to just try and forget about Oldman, but Oldman's got a lovely run here.
Oldman is going to feel like a young man in about a corner's time, depending on how this overtake goes. Switch to the inside. He does. He makes the move on the brakes. He's going to go deep, but can he control it and tuck it back up the inside? No, unfortunately he can't. It was a good effort, though.
He's got good exit, though, just as we said, and he's... I think that's ILTEL turning in on Oldman, and yeah, I think he wasn't expecting Oldman to be there, but he was clearly alongside, and... Oldman's lost out there, being in the gravel. And
look who is lurking.
Oh yes, here he comes. The bright green assassin. I don't think you'll be able to miss him this week.
I don't know, my screen's a bit blurry on this camera. I think someone spat on the lens. Oh, there we go, he's trying to focus a bit.
As we go up the hill through the single file, turn 6 I believe, heading towards the corkscrew. ILTEL has just given Jason a lovely, lovely gap out in front.
Interestingly, the left-hander that these guys are just approaching now apparently is called the Rainy Curve, and probably because it makes you cry if you go off there.
Scott is just having a bit of a nightmare trying to overtake Nightwalk, I believe, in last place. He needs to just try and dispose of him, but he's trying it round the outside.
I think Nightwalker's kind of trying to let him through, but Scott's into the pits. Well, I was going to ask, I was going to mention something to you, James. Let's see, Eltel as RDJ backmarker trying to get out of the way. Eltel, his rear tyres looked like they had gone when he made his pit stop, but he'd only completed, I think, 12 laps when he made his stop. If he was on the hard compound tyre, he's got to pit again.
Yeah.
If he was on the soft compound tyre and now he's on the hards, he may not have to.
Indeed. Now, I would probably just be tempted to run the hard tyres for both stints, because then you've got an equal amount of grip Whereas if you run the softs, yeah, you're going to have amazing pace when you've got them softs on, but then you're going to have to take them hards a very, very long way. And yeah, it's not nice on them final few laps on a set of really, really worn out hard tyres.
Yeah, GT Gavin back into the pits. Adam 4600 I think has recently made a pit stop, and RDJ Andreas made a pit stop I believe as well. And Night Walker still running at the moment. He's on for picking up some points as he drifts it beautifully around the corner. I like that.
Oldman is gaining time on ILTEL, and ILTEL's gaining time back on Jason. Jason looks to be only about 2 seconds in front of ILTEL, and they had that off 2 laps ago, so 10 laps to go. I think this lead could possibly change. I think Jason needs to keep focused on his own job, but for ILTEL and Oldman need to stop tripping over each other. I think they're about to do.
Well, we're about to find out because they're getting very close. But I mean, if these guys do have another pit stop to make, and interestingly, Dave the Harp's dropped off the back of this little battle.
Because he did pit a lot earlier than these front three, so he may be suffering now with tyre wear. And Oldman's really got a nice run now on ILTEL. He needs to try and put him out of position as this is a single file corner. And
ILTEL's gone wide!
Yeah, that's what he wanted ILTEL to do, but he managed to carry the speed through the dirt as we're heading towards the corkscrew now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking though, I mean, looking at the undercut that Jason got when he made his stop, if he's got another stop to do, he could get himself another phenomenal undercut.
Yeah, yeah. So, Oldman just needs to focus now. He can see the lead of the race is not too far in front of him, but I think ILTEL, he may just be able to, if he can focus and try and forget about Oldman, I think he's got the pace to try and win this.
Yeah, now I am trying to sort of keep an eye on the YouTube chat while all this is going on. Oh! Oldman just gave ILTEL a little bit of a nudge there, but I think he may have backed out of it a little bit and sort of said, yeah, hands up to that one, that was a bit unfair of me, and fair play to him. But yeah, I am trying to keep an eye on the YouTube chat. Ooh. And somebody has said, question of the day, go on James, what you spotted?
No, it was just ILTEL running a little bit wide, that were all.
Okay, question of the day is quite a simple one. Who's going to win the race?
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be ILTEL. I don't think Jason's got the pace.
Oh, interesting. I'm not even going to have a guess. But yeah, viewers, if you want to have a guess. Oh, ILTEL's made a mistake! Commentators curse! Instant reaction!
There we go. Yeah, I think I'm just going to change it around. Jason's going to win this now.
No, don't you dare. Don't you dare say anything. I reckon Dave the Arp's going to win this one. No. But yeah, I mean, ILTEL, that's unfortunate for him, but that's what effect this racetrack can have. Quick look
Jason's
through.
In the pit.
Is he?
I want a surprise there.
And into the pit wall as well.
Oldman is going to take the lead of the race here, and Jason's in the pit lane. Dave the Arp's also in the pit lane. So title contenders are going to get a little bit close here at the end of the pit lane.
Yeah, okay, so while they're making their way through the pits, I'm just going to try and have a look. Stig v Rob has just lost a place through power boost penalty to Scott McFall. Kulakutu not too far behind them. Dex a couple of corners behind Adam 4600, about 8 seconds behind him. GT Gavin not too far away, bit of a gap down to Dre though, and RDJ's got about the start finish behind him. And Nightwalker, keep it going mate, watch you drift around the same corner again, nicely done. So for Jason and Dave the Harp then, Jason looks like he's going to be coming back out on the track in third place.
That was very strange from Jason. I think he may have put on the soft tyres and put the wrong compound on. I think he was the one in the best position as he had the freshest tyres. So if he'd have put the hards on, he could have run to the end easily, as I think that's what ILTEL and Oldman are going to do.
Well, the thing is, I mean, Jason did pit a couple of laps before ILTEL and Oldman, though, didn't he? So I think Jason may have just sort of thought, you know what, I'll do perhaps a short or a long soft stint, do a harder stint but not too long, and then an 8-lap soft stint again. I mean, how many laps would he have done on whatever set of tyres he's just used?
I think he's only done about 6 or 7 laps on that second stint for Jason, which is a bit remarkable, as I think Oldman pitted around lap 12 and ILTEL about lap 13, I seem to remember. And I think Jason had pitted around lap 14, so a bit of an odd one there. It's only been about 3 or 4 laps, and Jason's gone for another set of tyres along with Dave the Harp, so I think they may have gifted Ieltel and Ullman a chance at the win here.
Quite possibly Stig v Rob trying to make his way past one of the back markers, and he needs to do that as quick as he can because Kulukutu is closing up to the back of him. Can't quite see where Dex is at the moment, a corner away.
Car off! Let's work out who that was. There was a car off. I think it's maybe a back marker. But yeah, it was Nightwalker aiming the wrong way, but turn 3 I think it was.
Interestingly as well, since you commentators cursed Eltel, GBM Oldman's opening up a nice little gap on him at the moment, and that'll frustrate Eltel. But I mean, if Oldman and Eltel are going to the end, Jason's got his work cut out for him. He needs to be going fast, and considering that these guys are continuing on for another lap, I think they are going to the end. Indeed.
So previous lap time, we'll work out what the gap is going to be. I think actually Ieltel's gone 2/10 quicker than Ullman on that lap. But I think Ieltel may have a back marker to contend with round turn 1 here, so that's not in the plan for Ieltel.
Oh, Eltel's alright at the moment. Jason is getting held up a little bit though at the moment. He's got Nightwalker ahead of him, but should be able to dispatch him down the start finish straight, and using the slipstream to maximum benefit, I believe, unless that's Dre that I can see there. But Jason going. So it is
Carrying
Nightwalker.
The speed.
I was asking you if it was Nightwalker, James.
So apologies for that. Dave, he doesn't look to have the same qualifying pace he had earlier. He really seems to be struggling, as now Jason's just pulling away, and they pitted on the same lap and they want too far away from each other. Dave doesn't seem to be going any quicker. His last lap was a 1:21 dead, and the race leaders along with Jason were in the mid-20s, so they're about half a second quicker than Dave, so that's a bit of an odd one there.
Okay, Stig v Rob back into the pits. GT Gavin taking a little trip off the track.
Change for the lead. Ieltel in P1. Ullman in P2. I think Ullman's had a problem. So Ieltel could be back on for the win here.
Okay, that was a little bit more dramatic than I expected. There was a 2-second gap between them. I didn't think anything was going to happen. I was looking at the mountains instead. But yeah, somehow Eltel's taken the lead. That must have been a power boost penalty somewhere, surely.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of places round here for a power boost, but Ieltel, he'll be happy with that. Apologies to the viewers, we didn't catch that one. Too busy daydreaming in the midfield, but we can't keep an eye on everything.
That is true. So Eltel back into the lead of the race then. And Jason, I think I don't know, is he going to be kicking himself that he's potentially thrown away a win?
Boost. Another power boost for Ullman. This is really going Pete Tong for him.
The only thing is Jason's too far away to capitalise. I mean, Jason needs to be doing a second a lap faster, and it's not happening for him at the moment, I don't think.
But Ieltel now, this could be him in the pound seat with 5 laps to go. Could that little cheeky guess I had that he was going to win, have I seen the future, or were I just very, very lucky as Ullman
into the pits? So maybe his tyres had gone.
That's going to be worrying for Ieltel with 4 laps remaining.
Yeah, definitely. It could mean... I mean, I would guess that Jason is going to be ahead of Ullman. And if Eltel does need to pit, then he'll feel like he's thrown away a win. Dave Harp in the background trying to make his way past Nightwalker now, heading into the final corner, and Nightwalker making him work for it. And some people may say that that's not right, but I do believe blue flags are not in play, are they, James?
So that's Dave. No, they're not. And Dave the Harp is now, as he's making that move on Nightwalker, he's made the move past Ullman in the pit lane. So nice little driving there from Dave. But I think he keeps getting people that keep making mistakes, and yeah, he keeps miraculously getting decent positions, as Jason's now up to P2, and Ieltel looks like he's still got decent pace out in the lead. He just needs to make sure that he keeps these tyres in good nick for the remaining 4 laps, I think. Yeah, he's actually, you know what, ILTEL is lifting off a lot in the high-speed corners to try and protect these tyres. Really, really tentative on the power as well, so maybe 3 laps remaining, but well, Jason's a fair way back.
He's 18 seconds back. That's why I was quiet then and waited to see if you kept talking. I was hoping you didn't ask me a question, because ask me a question while I'm counting, it's all going to go wrong. You could have said, who's leading the way? 18! But yeah, 18 seconds was the gap. So, but we saw it with LTEL earlier on. He looked comfortable, but just before his pit stop, all of a sudden his tyres went and he was making mistakes. He was getting sideways. He needs to hope that that doesn't happen now. And as I said earlier, if he was on the hard tyres earlier, they lasted 12 laps, which means it's in that critical phase potentially now for him.
Yeah, indeed. I think we need to rename ILTEL. Here comes the commentator's curse. ILTEL as Mr. Consistent, because he doesn't seem to be the driver with the full-on out-and-out pace, but he seems to be the driver that makes the least mistakes of everybody else. And he won the last time out at Bathurst, and it looks like he may be potentially on for another win.
He's definitely got a chance for it, let's put it that way. Just having a quick look through the field at the moment with only a couple of laps to go, really. Kulakutu has got to be careful of Adams 4600, not too far behind him. And it's a bit of a gap though between 7th and 8th, Stig V Rob in 8th, but he made a pit stop 2 laps ago, I think it was. Dex, I think, will be frustrated with how this feature race has gone, because he had great pace in the sprint race, but his best lap in the race, he's just done his best lap of the race, 20.7, but it was a 21.9, so yeah, frustrating one for Dex, I think.
I think the podium battle for P3 is on. 2 laps remaining. And Oldman is only a few seconds behind Dave the Art now, and his previous lap for Dave was a 1:21.
Oh, sorry, Scott McFall has just got past about Marker, who was having an off. My apologies.
No, you're right. And Oldman's just done a 1:19, so Oldman's going about 2 seconds a lap quicker, and that gap looks only to be about 2 seconds. So I think P3 is still on for Oldman.
It's definitely a potential, that's for sure. Let's see, LTEL is heading up to the corkscrew. He's going to have to go through there this time and one more time. It looks like he may have played a blinder with his strategy, though. Yeah,
he's going really tentative, but he's got so much time in his pocket. If he just makes sure that he don't make a mistake, this is going to be an easy win here. He's going to be really hoping and praying that he don't make any little silly mistake as...
I think the gap between himself and Jason, though, has come down by a long way. Although Jason's just run wide.
Jason's currently running about 3 seconds a lap quicker. But ILTEL is now on to the final lap of the race.
So, no pressure, LTEL, but James said you were going to win, so let's see you bin it somewhere. No, I'm being cruel. But yeah, I mean, if he goes on to win this one, which it looks like he could do on the final lap of the race, there's no luck about this one. This is all about strategy, looking after those tyres, being the quickest from A to B in the race.
Yeah, I'm just currently focusing myself on this battle for P3, as I think Oldman has just took another second out of David Harp. He knows that this is his opportunity to get back on the podium.
Yeah, and in a way, Jason needs Oldman to go and attack Dave the Harp, but I mean, they're on the last lap, and he's going to need to really catch him quick, as LTEL is he's got Dex, so I think he's on much fresher tyres right behind him and giving him a bit of pressure. But LTEL through the corkscrew for the final time. He's only got 3 corners to go, so I'd be tempted to let Dex through here and just say, go on, you have another lap to do, and he's done that as well.
Dave the Art made a mistake, and
he's down to 4th.
Made his way through.
Yeah,
he had a power boost.
Okay, great stuff. Nice one for LTEL, though, letting Dex through as Nightwalker's in the pits. And LTEL, he is going to go and win this race for Front Row Racing round 5 from Laguna Seca. And Jason did close that gap in, but obviously that was helped by LTEL backing off a little bit at the end there. But what an end. Oldman does take 3rd place, stealing that position on the final lap. I didn't see it, unfortunately. Thankfully, James was watching. Dave the Harp 4th for him. And Scott McFall in 5th at the moment. just wonder if we've got anything kicking off a little bit further down, James.
I think Dex has just overtaken Kulu Kutu for P8, even though it's saying he's in P9. I think he's just took, Kulu Kutu. So I think Kulu Kutu's out of tyres at this moment in time, and even back markers are overtaking him now. Okay, well, Adam 4600, I think he's going to be the next to cross the line, which I think will be to take 6th place. Don't know like he for a moment he had any windows in his car. Maybe it's a bit more aerodynamic. I don't think it would be, but no. Maybe he can't afford them. As Adam's just coming over the line to finishing P6, which is not a bad effort there. It isn't. I think Stig v Rob. Oh, Dex. I think Stig v Rob is going to be 8th. And that's Eltel's car into the pits. I think with. I think that was so frustrating. Yeah, I was going to say a back marker. I was on board with somebody. I hate the way that ProjectCARS messes up the position at the end. It makes things so messy. But there we go. Anyway. So Eltel P1, Jason P2. That's very nice for the title battle. And Oldman snatches P3 from Dave the Harp, which further increases Jason's points. So Dave the Harp will not be happy losing out to the podium on the final lap. No, he won't be. GT Gavin, I believe, does finish 9th place unless somebody's jumped out. Could be 10th place. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like the way ProjectCARS ends, unfortunately. Yet somebody has jumped out of the lobby. Anyway, so as we get ready for the podium interviews then, just to give a shout out to Casey if he's checking for the points of this one, you might want to check the order. When I showed it as Eltel was about to cross the line, and then check whether James said that Dex lost the position or not. But for Eltel, what a result. What a result. So I'll just run through the final points. I'll bring this back up for me. This would be very nice. But yeah, I think that was probably the second race of the season without any rain, which is unusual. And we were able to see there the pure pace of everybody in dry conditions. So I think all podium sitters have made their way to the commentary box, which is nice to see. And what an absolutely cracking battle there. Different strategies really mixed it up there. It did. I mean, a great race from start to finish, that is for certain. So Eltel takes his second win in a row, and if last week put him on the cards and knocking on James's door for a permanent slot, then back-to-back wins I think pretty much cements it for what I would say. But Eltel, an interesting race. I'll ask you a couple of questions. I'll hand over to James because I know he likes to drag a few out, so we'll see what we can do. My questions are to do with pit stop. Unfortunately Jason's left the party. Hopefully he'll come back in a second. Towards, I think it was the last lap before you pitted, it looked like your tyres had gone. So one question is, how had your tyres gone and was it a worry? And did you do soft and hard compound, and were the tyres a worry at the end of that final stint?
No, of medium compound, and towards that 8th, the 9th, the 10th, say the 9th, 10th and 11th lap, I think I had grey totally on the right hand side and a little bit of green on the others, and it started to go on me. And the last 2 laps then I was on nothing again, that's why I slowed down. But I thought if I can keep it on the track, I'll keep the win. Obviously it throw me back into GBM and Jason, so I just managed to keep it on the track again.
So, I said I was going to ask a couple of questions. So you were you planning a 2-stop strategy then, but you thought no, let's hang it out?
Yeah, I had two stop I planned it on, and then I still had a little bit of green on there, and I seen GBM had started losing it, and I thought if he goes in, it's going to give me at least a 16-second gap, and I could hold that with the tyres, you know, we're letting off for them last 3 laps. And I just thought, and I've done it, and it worked. So yeah. Well done, very well done. I would have been back in a battle with Jason and GBM, and then again.
Yep, very well done for sure. So okay, James, questions for Eltel? I'm sure you got a few.
Yeah.
Actually, hang on a minute. Do you want to tell him what you said a few laps ago, or do you want to wait until he watches the broadcast?
Yeah, no, I'll tell him. So yeah, I think it was about 8 laps from the end. I think Oldman was leading the race. Jason had just pitted. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, no. I think you were.
Jason was leading. Jason was leading. Oldman was P2. No, Eltel was P2, and Oldman was P3 when I asked you the question, James.
Coming through the corkscrew.
Yeah. Well, at that point, just
not
that lap.
Not the corkscrew. The one
at the beginning of
the corner.
The left-hander that's a bit single file.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of that lap, I did say I think Eltel's going to win this. And that were my commentator's curses. And then on that lap, you got the power boost. Oldman went up to P2, and then Jason pitted for a new set of slicks.
And I've seen Dave close behind. I thought I'm going to end up finishing 4th here, man.
Yeah. I soon said, oh no, maybe Oldman's going to win it. Yeah. But then, once again, you just showed throughout that race, along the similar to Bathurst, if you make the least amount of mistakes, it doesn't matter how quick you are, you can win the race. Absolutely brilliant.
I tried to get the car so I could like an average of 120 laps, 119, 120, and it worked.
Yeah.
Finally kept the cars that decent as well. So, yeah.
No, absolutely brilliant, that. So, what would you say to... I mean, we've got a lot of drivers that are chomping at the bit to get into this league. What would you say it would be the best way to go about getting a seat the way that you've proved that you can get a full-time seat?
I don't know, just drive well. Just keep it clean. Try and keep it clean. I know it ain't always the case, but try and keep it clean and...
Well,
I don't know. I know I'm not as fast as GBM and Jason, but I know I could set a lap time and try and keep that lap time if the car.
I want to touch on something you just said about keeping it clean. There was a part of that race where I think some dithering old fella in a car gave you a bit of a nudge up the rear end. But I mean that happens in racing, but the clean part of it is what happened right afterwards. So I mean, what did happen? He gives you a nudge, you run off wide. What happened next?
We just raced.
Well, the point I was hoping you'd make is that he didn't just drive past you and overtake you. He did back off and he let you keep the position.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, GBM was fast in some corners than me, and then I'd leap and. Bless him, he was trying to get up the inside, but as soon as he started touching me, I jammed my brakes on to try and get him past me. That's all.
Oh, dear.
But, bless him, but no, I had some good battles. Then it was a good race.
Well, very well done on first place there. Don't rush away, we may have some more questions for you. We're going to move on to our second place sitter, and I mean I said last week he gets one podium and he goes and follows it up with a couple more, and here he is again. Jason, a very exciting race from yourself there. Pole position, I think that might actually be your first pole position in Front Row Racing, and a fantastic race. And had Eltel gone for the two-stop strategy, I think you'd have won it, because I think you'd have got the undercut on him. So is there perhaps a little bit of frustration there that he didn't make that second pit stop?
Oh no, I didn't expect to be on the second and the first. Happy with third.
Well,
so I'm very happy with second.
You should be very happy with second. It's a good place to finish, but I mean you're getting closer to winning the races, and I mean, I think the way you've been driving recently has shown the pressure it's putting on people, because Eltel had to take that risk of staying out on worn tyres to have a chance of winning, and you were catching him quick. But I don't know, in as many words as you like to use, I mean, how do you describe the race that you've just had there, going from first lap to the end?
Well, it's very similar like the two races before. No much battles, and yeah, I did a few mistakes, but
Well, I said when you were leading the race in the early stages, you opened up a little bit of a gap. That gap came down again, and I said on commentary that this is new territory for you in front row racing, leading the race and having a bit of pressure. And I found it interesting to see how you coped with it. And okay, there were the odd mistakes, but I think you coped very, very well. So would you say that this was a good learning experience, adding towards additions to your pilot's license?
yes. Yes.
Good. Okay, James, any questions for Jason? See if he can understand you today.
Yeah, apologies for my accent, Jason, but yeah, the main thing I'm going to ask you there was, in the middle stint, what type of tyres did you put on? Because it seemed like you probably had the best opportunity to do a one-stop, as you'd run longer than all the other drivers behind you. Did you put on a set of softs by accident, or were you planning always on a two-stop?
Well, I was planning for two-stop. Yes.
So how do you happen to remember how many laps you did in that middle stint?
I think it was 9.
9, right, okay.
He can count better than you, James.
Yeah, definitely. I said about 5, so I'm definitely wrong there. But yeah, it did seem like a very short middle stint. And then when you came out, you'd sort of covered off the undercut. If any of the leading trio pitted, you knew that you'd be in the prime position. But then when you saw Altel just carrying on, you were probably taking about 3 seconds a lap out of him on the final few laps. Were there any point where you thought, I may get this, or were it very much like, oh, if he carries on, there's no way?
I think if he did a mistake, it's the only chance to get him.
Yeah. Well, it was a very, very, very nice job you did there with the two-stop strategy. Quickest driver of the two-stop strategy, and yeah, just a shame that Altel was the only one with the kahunas to do a one-stop.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say it now as well. I'm saying the Swedish Banana Man gets the win next week. So, no pressure on you, Jason. Okay, very well done. Don't rush off just yet. We'll move on to our third place sitter, GBM Oldman. It was an interesting race for you, fella. I think there was potentially the opportunity to be a little higher up the grid. We did see you get a couple of power boost penalties, but at the same time, you kind of stole third place off somebody on the last lap of the race. Can you imagine that was quite satisfying for you?
I'm still smiling now.
he's not. He's the other guy, isn't?
No, Dave's not. No.
But okay, so I mean, your race, sprint race, feature race, how did they go?
Sprint race, very good. Totally enjoyed it, but there was carnage behind us. I can't remember much of that actually, because concentrating on the last race, but I can't even remember where I finished.
So neither can we.
Third, I think it was, but yeah, enjoyable main feature race anyway. Tyres were going, I was pushing very hard, as you may imagine, but tyres were going very quickly. Made a few mistakes which I think cost me well up the top there, but that's the way things go. It's racing.
That is true. Okay, James, any questions for GBM Oldman?
Yeah, so Oldman, you found yourself in a position where you were leading the race before you pitted. Could you have possibly thought about doing a one-stop, or was the tyres just not giving you that much grip?
the tyres were just totally shot. There was nothing left on the front at all. So I had to go in. I was starting to lose buckets of time. 2.5 seconds a lap, which is no good.
Yeah. Because IL-Tel, I think he was able to keep good pace for still a few more laps, and it was only about the final 5 laps that he was really dropping off in pace. So having to do the 2-stop, looking back at that race, is there anything that you feel you could have done to win that? Because throughout the majority of that race, you were only probably about 4 seconds behind whoever was leading the race throughout it. So was there any point during that race that you can pinpoint thinking, oh, I could have done something slightly different and won that?
If I could have done an extra lap on each set of tyres, I think I'd have been okay. I'd have been well up there and got a 1-stop in, but they were just shot towards the end. I dived in the pits and put a set of softs on right at the end, and I was just pulling in Dave like no tomorrow. Yeah.
So on the final lap, I believe I didn't fully get to see it, but did Dave Hart buckle under pressure with a power boost?
No, he actually ran wide, and
right.
I won't repeat the language which he said as I went past him.
Was it along the lines of, there you go, old man, you can have those extra points, I'll be nice to you today, or was it something completely different?
Completely different, yeah, we're on air, I won't repeat it.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a quick question, if it's alright, for GBM Oldman and El-Tel, and then I've got another one for Jason. First round of pit stops, just before it, you'd both, I think, got ahead of Jason. He made his pit stop, and then you made your pit stops, and he comes out ahead of the both of you. So how frustrating was it from both of your points of view that you'd got ahead of him and he'd undercut you? El-Tel?
Yeah, well, it's frustrating, but that last lap, me and GBM must have lost loads of time to Jason. We both was running right, so we went in, and then with my battle between me and GBM, Jason was pulling away again from us, you know, on his worn tyres. So I just thought we blew it, kind of thing. Because I was expecting to stop again, you know, for the 2-stopper.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Jason drove well, but mine and GBM's battle gave him the lead more then.
We'll get your answer in a moment, Oldman. So when Jason undercut you on that first pit stop, was that sort of the first seed in the mind of, you know what, I may have to just go to the end on this set of tyres?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
I just thought, and I was just waiting to see, and it just, as long as I had a glimmer of green on there, I thought I could hold it on the track.
Okay, good stuff. So Oldman, from your point of view then, being ahead of Jason, he pits, then when you've made your stop, he's jumped the both of you. What's going through your mind then?
I won't say much on air, but yeah, he was well in front, so I knew that he was going to actually jump me when I pitted. So I thought, he's done 2 or 3 extra laps on them tyres. I thought I might be able to catch him up, but too many power boosts, trying too hard.
Okay. And Jason, I said I was going to come to you for another question, and it's kind of connected to what I just asked these guys. Before your first stop, they'd got ahead of you, and I can imagine that was frustrating, but you made your pit stop, they made their pit stop, you undercut them, you got ahead of them. What's going through your mind at that point? Are you thinking, yeah, okay, this is an opportunity now?
Yeah, of course. If they had the same strategy that me.
Yeah. Well,
that was, but it wasn't.
That is true, and I mean, fair play to El-Tel. He did what he had to do. If he'd have pitted, yeah, I'm not going to say that you would have won the race, Jason, but if El-Tel had a pitted, then you probably would have been ahead of them and would have had a battle for the win at the end. But anyway, fantastic drive by all 3 of our podium sitters and from everybody else on the grid today. But it is El-Tel that takes another win in the Front Row Racing Season 6 DTM League on ProjectCARS. So we'll begin wrapping this up, and James, any sort of final thoughts, any information you want to give out about next week?
Yeah, so I know all the drivers will be waiting with anticipated breath, finding out which circuit we're heading to for round 6 of 8 of the DTM Project Cars season, and yeah, everybody will be happy to know that if you live in the UK, we're heading home. We're going to Silverstone GP, so that's gonna be.
Is it Silverstone GP next weekend? Is it?
It's Silverstone GP, so everybody knows. I'll tell that's telling me. That's telling me that ILTEL may not be too happy around there, and that may open up opportunities for Jason.
Does he not like? Do you not like Silverstone?
No, I hate Silverstone, man.
I love that place.
Night in that Porsche.
Yeah, I did.
I just can't get on with it. I just can't get on with it at all.
Well, you're going to have to get on with it. It's going to be 3 laps for the sprint race and 15 laps for the feature race, and that'll be round 6 of 8 of the FRR Project Cars Season 6. So that is pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else any of the drivers need to know, but
we'll leave it at that for now, I reckon. Okay, next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel will be this coming Wednesday for the Front Row Racing World Championship on F1 2016. From Malaysia. We'll be live from about 6 PM for that, and we'll also be live on Thursday at the same time for round 16 of the Front Row Racing World Series on F1 2016. And as James mentioned, we will also be back next Sunday for round 6 of the Project Cars DTMs. And if we're able to be live on Friday for the Fruff Cup, we shall put that out on Facebook. So anyway,
one more thing I was just going to let everybody know before we sign off. We are still advertising for Front Row Racing admins to come forward and take control of the Project Cars side of things, running it, live streaming it, doing points, doing posters. It all needs doing, and it's not going to happen if we don't get people coming forward and saying, you know what, I'll put aside some time to help run this thing. Otherwise this could be the end for Project Cars on Front Row Racing, and we really do not want to see that happen. No. So 3 weeks remaining for Season 6. We want people to step forward and say, I'll take a bit of responsibility to keep FRR Project Cars going for Season 7 and beyond.
Yeah, very, very true. Okay, thank you very much for taking part, guys, and thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and come and check out the Front Row Racing Facebook page, and also the Front Row Racing ProjectCARS PlayStation community on PSN. If you do want to get involved, drop a message on there, and we'll see if we can get you in on the Friday night events, which is kind of a bit of a feeder series and a bit of talent spotting for the Sunday DTM leagues. Anyway, he's been Front Row Racing JS, I've been a starving Front Row Racing DP, so I'm off to go do myself some dinner. Have a great week ahead, folks, and we shall see you all again soon.
Thank you guys. See you later.